Yeah.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Adult Child of Dysfunction. Today, we have with us Misun O. She is a spiritual life coach who works with moms who've done all the work yet still feel stuck in yelling and guilt. Her soul print approach focuses on identity level healing, helping mom remember who they are and create calmer, more connected homes. Welcome. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. So, everybody comes on this podcast for a reason, whether it's a guest or a listener. What brought you to a podcast titled Adult Child of Dysfunction?
Oh, that's exactly like what I went through a year ago. I was attending ACA meeting, Adult Child, and it brought up so much in me. I started my spiritual journey 2009, and since then I'm really like intensely working on myself, healing myself. But the other child work brought whole different level of layers. So yeah, I want to share about my story.
Okay, so you said I know somewhere whether I read it in the application or we were just chatting about it, you mentioned that when you became a parent is when you were really aware of the different patterns and kind of how they followed you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's really funny. When I became a mom, I was already over 10 years of my spiritual practice. So I thought I'm ready. I thought I'm gonna be different than how I grew up. But I discovered myself yelling, angry, shutting myself down, and just walk away. So many things. But still, I was thinking that's pretty normal as a human being. And I went through, divorce. And then after that, I was in another relationship very shortly. And actually, that person introduced the ACA meeting to me. And that person was working on ACA for years. And then actually he pointed out like how I'm disconnected with my son when I'm getting upset. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew I was angry. I was, like not supposed to be that way, but I didn't see that as a huge problem or anything. Like I thought that was just normal. But that my ex-boyfriend, what he pointed out really hit me so hard. I mean, it hurt. It hurt a lot. And I couldn't believe what he's saying because that's exactly how I grew up, the how I felt while I'm growing up. So I really, really wanted to heal that part. And that's how I attend the work on the 12 step ACA. And it brought up a lot and it brought a lot of healing too. Yeah.
Well, good. And the ACA program, for those people that are out there that are listening but don't know what that is,
Oh.
it started as Adult Child of Alcoholics. And so it was primarily for children that grew up in addictive and alcoholism, around addiction and alcoholism. And then they kind of branched out and they changed the name of it. And if you've listened to any of my episodes before, you know that I totally believe is that dysfunction is dysfunction. So now ACA actually is the bigger umbrella term for adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. Um, yes, like I don't know if you had alcoholism in the family. I don't know what kind of dysfunction you
Mm.
had, but at the end of the day, all of that you went through changed the way that you react with other people. So your children in particular. And it is good that sometimes it's that mom wake up call that we need to go, oh my gosh, I am completely my parents, even though I swore I would never be.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, I don't know how deep you want to go in. I know we keep it kind of raw and real here, but how much you talk about is up to you. What
No,
was,
I don't.
what was your
Yeah.
childhood? What was your childhood like? Like, what was the dysfunction?
I love it. I love this kinds of conversation. And yeah, and exactly what you said, I just swore I'll never be that way, That's exactly how I messaging to my clients, like people who swore I would never be my parents, but I notice I'm exactly like them. Like yeah, that's exactly wake up call. Well, my childhood, my family, I was born in very countryside in South Korea. Um, it was a really small town, like seven, eight houses. That was all in town, and everyone was farming, nothing else. Um, and we, until my grandpa passed away, I had quite good memory. It was like my grandpa passed away when I was 5 years old. So not having a lot of memory before then, but somehow I have like a good image and good feeling when I think about that time. But after my grandpa passed away, everything falling apart. So I would say my grandpa was the person who was holding everyone together, everything together. And as he goes, just yeah, my dad has a problem with alcohol and everything, abusive. He was abusive, alcoholic, a lot of women. So my mom, I remember I have one memory that my dad was beating my mom in front of our house, basically on the street. Um, it was a very small town, probably everyone could hear. Um, but no one came actually. I think that was a pretty much normal, I would say, even though I have only one memory. And then my mom left the house after that. Uh, so that was when I was 6. And then my dad, in and out, he wasn't present as an adult in our house either. So I had five siblings. They're all older than me. And I was 6. My oldest brother was 17 at the time. And, but, no one was really like able to carry everything just as we were all kids, right? So,
Right.
no one, especially my brothers, they were not able to do that at all. So my sister, she was only 7 years older than me. So she was 13 at the time. She was the one who's keeping the house. So she like go to the neighbors to helping and getting food, things like that. And that's what I carried from my whole life, like that abandonment issues.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I didn't know, of course, until I started my spiritual journey. I didn't know anything. I just lived as my life a complete victim. Like it's my parents' fault. It's my mom's fault. Everything. Like if they didn't do that, I wouldn't live this way. Like especially in relationship. Of course, that's hardest part. It's always trigger my fear of abandonment because that's what I need to heal. I attract that kinds of guys. So it always happens same way. So whenever breakup happens, that's just end of world to me. Whether that's a great guy or such a really asshole.
It
I
doesn't matter. He still left you, whether he was an asshole or not, right? He
Yeah,
still
it
hurt.
doesn't matter. It's just I cannot bear that I'm being left out.
Mm,
Yeah, so if I break up with someone, that's okay. But if someone break up with me, I couldn't bear that pain.
right.
And I didn't know what it is at the time, but that was the seeded, and when I was 6.
Yep.
So that's what I carried. And then in my late 20s, I came out of a really painful breakup. That guy, I would say, worst guy I've ever met. And still, I couldn't let him go. Still, I couldn't accept that he left me, even though he found another girl and, such a falling in love with her. But totally different way he interact with her. And I still couldn't let him go. I still couldn't accept that it's done. So I couldn't bear that pain. So I tried to kill myself at the time.
Oh.
That was
Hmm.
the only way I could get out of that pain, I thought at the time. Thankfully, it didn't work out, but that was the waking up call, you know. It's there was like a little voice inside of me. There must be a different way to live this life. And then
Well,
that was the start of my journey. Yeah, exploring. Yeah.
well, sometimes, I
Oh,
mean, you don't want people to ever have to hit that rock bottom of
no.
suicide, trying or attempting or even thinking about it. But sometimes it takes something to scare you.
Mm,
I mean, it scares you into, oh my gosh, if I do this, you were obviously acutely aware that things were going on and things weren't right, and you knew you were attracting the wrong people, but you're
mm,
right. Um, it's, we actually, just a couple episodes ago, I'll have to get you the episode number. You'll have to listen to it because it's all about attachment theories and narcissistic like abuse and how our minds are so wired to familiar that we keep going back to those wrong people
mhm,
and knowing perfectly well that they're probably not good for us. And then when it's gone, like you said, you have that attachment is so strong. It's almost like a trauma bond, because they've got you so hooked in and you're so looking for love in all the wrong places kind of thing that
yeah.
you feel like you're going to die. I mean, it feels like that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you survived, or we wouldn't be here today talking. Um, but what started making the biggest changes for you? Like, talk about your process of, okay, you've hit this wall, you're like, enough is enough, there's got to be a better way. What was your process like?
Okay, and early stage of my healing journey, the first thing I learned from my journey was taking responsibility of my life. That was huge because I really believed myself as a victim of my parents. But I learned that um, I used to go to the church in my teenagers, but it was not spiritual way. It was also escapism from my home. So it was more like really just a religion, you know.
Right.
I didn't learn that much at that time. So in my 20s, I stopped going to church because what I learned from the church in my teenagers was like, what shouldn't I do? What should I do? Like, if I do something wrong, I'm gonna go to the hell. Like, that's what I learned. So, so when I entered university, I started drinking alcohol and I felt so much guilt. I couldn't go back to the church. So I stopped going to church and then I had to just by myself. So I started to deny God completely. I became atheist uh, in
Oh,
my
wow. Okay.
whole 20s, until I find the God again. And so when I started that journey, when I started to really accepting little by little, okay, this is my responsibility. No one caused this pain in me. I chose this. And then I started reading all kinds of books and I read about like the soul's journey, and it just hit me so hard. I totally believed that my soul agreed to this life and came with the consent what I'm gonna experience in this life to learn my lesson. So I came with my own curriculum, with my own people, especially my parents, and even now when I look back, my one of my biggest lesson I need to learn and transcend in this lifetime was overcoming that fear of abandonment. So I had to have parents who can abandon me in early ages so I can really transcend that trauma wounds. So that's one thing I learned in the very early stage. And then since I started taking responsibility for my life, the really amazing things happen. Like I used to have a very small like illness, small sickness here and there, like a
Hmm.
headache, cold, my period pain, stomach ache. Whenever I stress just a little bit, that happens. But I was pretty healthy when I was young. I grew up in the very countryside, it's just grow up with nature. That was very healthy. I think that made my immune system very healthy. So
Yes.
I didn't get sick very much. But in my teenagers, I developed having sickness as a tool to get attention from other people. So
Mm.
I believe that. So I used to have that small sickness very often. But when I started to accepting my responsibility for my life, all of my little sicknesses was gone completely. It was over 10 years. I've never got cold, anything like headache. No, not at all.
Well,
So
because yeah, you knew that you were making that up. So you
yeah,
you knew that. So
exactly.
you were like, okay,
Exactly.
if I'm taking responsibility for what I'm doing, I'm sitting here making up stuff to literally make people like me or make people pay
Yeah,
attention to me. Yeah, that's who was it? I think it was Ben Franklin that said, with awareness comes great responsibility. So it's
yeah,
like you don't know and everything you did, I mean, I'm sure you look now. I mean, you said so many words to me in just the last couple sentences that just screamed guilt and shame. And it's like you have to that's the big thing. I love that you said too, was it The Soul's Journey was the book you read? Was that the title of the book?
yeah. Hmm.
Because I love hearing about that. I had another episode here too where the lady I think it was a lady talked all about the soul's journey, and she did say that. She did say you are put on this earth to learn certain things and do certain things, and you are going to keep continuing to come back life after life after life until you learn what you're supposed to be learning. So
Yeah.
it's almost like I feel like everybody should read that book because it's like, wow, I don't want to do this again and again and again.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, let me just learn now, but we don't. We don't know what we don't know until someone gets on a podcast and someone else hears this and then they pick up the book and they go, wow, cha-ching.
Yeah.
It's like this, your life is this a plethora of just aha moments where you're like, okay, I can learn from this and move on and not have to do this again. And when I
Right.
say again, I mean life after life after life,
Right.
not just
Yeah.
moment after moment after moment. We're talking,
Yeah.
52 lives from now, I'm still going to be going, dang it, like, why didn't I learn that one? It's almost
Yeah.
like you get this feeling of deja vu and you're like, wow, I feel like, but I know this never happened. Well, it probably did. So, you know, so you read the book, you started taking responsibility. You really worked on that fear of abandonment, which is a really, really, for the people out there listening, that's a tough one
It is
because
tough one.
when you feel that everybody in your life or is going to abandon you, even when you get in the good relationships, you can't get close enough. Like you're at arm's length because you know in your mind eventually
Right.
he's leaving. So I can't get close. I can't open up my heart. I can't feel that joy. I can't like have that true connection because you're afraid it's going to be over.
Yeah.
And
That's
that is
actually, yeah, I mean, it's not healed at the time. Um, that's another story coming back recent, like a few years back, story. Like, so since then, I started reading all kinds of spiritual book. I bought book after book after book after just reading, 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 and then I met a book of the David Hawkins. I don't know if you heard of him, and he became my spiritual teacher. I just stick with his teaching, and that's how I came visit to Sedona first time to attend one of his lecture. And also, I met my ex-husband through that event. So, you know, it was like a much more intense work since I discovered his work. It's basically what he's teaching is really surrendering this small self completely to God and accepting who I really am. you know.
Right.
So the surrender practicing, that's what I was doing. And my life started to change a lot. Like I was a teacher and education consultant in South Korea almost 20 years. And then, I've never traveled overseas until I come to Sedona. But after that, I went to Spain to work Camino. And then after that, I went to Sri Lanka to, work as volunteer for 2 years there. And
Oh,
then when
wow.
I came back to Korea, I worked there a little bit more as education consultant. And then I met my ex-husband to move to Sedona. So my life is just changed the direction completely. And
Right.
then here I became I mean, I couldn't speak English when I moved here. So that was a really challenging time, but became a mom was a much more challenge. It's the biggest challenge in my life, actually. Like I felt like I'm all alone here, no support, like no family member, of course, here, and my English was not good enough. I cannot communicate how I feel with it. Friend. I had good friends here, community, but still I felt so alone. I didn't feel like supported by my husband, ex-husband. So the first year when my son was born, I think I cried every day,
Mhm.
literally every day, and fighting with my ex-husband like so often. Um, and when I look back, like I'm really sorry for my son, like, as a newborn baby, just he's hearing that we are fighting, arguing all the time.
Right.
And um yeah, so many things happen. And my ex-husband, yeah, I have that anger. So much anger came out towards my ex-husband, but later what I realized was it wasn't really anger. It was a fear of abandonment because my ex-husband used to ask me to get divorced a lot from
Mm,
beginning.
okay. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
so he kind of kept you dangling on a string, like you either perform and be the good wife or I'm leaving,
yeah,
knowing your weakness because it doesn't matter. People know he
mhm,
knew that was something that scared you. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and he used that. But the good news is, how old's your son now?
He's almost 6.
I was going to say the good news is you can undo all that. I mean, you did make a good point though, and I am going to bring this up for the audience. Um, Children absorb everything and they don't just absorb it in their ears and their mind, they absorb it in their bodies.
Yeah,
So even when they're little kids, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing yoga with a 6-year-old and letting him tell you how he's feeling and get that stuff out of his body now before
yeah.
he's 26 and he's in therapy and he's saying, well, my mom and dad used to fight a lot,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
you know.
That's the biggest benefit from my work, my own work. I see like after divorce, after another breakup, that breakup really led me to another rock bottom. Because that guy came into my life when I'm really struggling by the divorce, uh, struggling emotionally, financially, everything. And he came in with so many like really pink color promises, like you
Love
don't have to
bombing.
worry about it. I'm gonna support you. I'm gonna help you to build your business, and I'm gonna support your son. And it was so like, I mean, I definitely saw the red flag, but I ignored it. We both were adult child. So we both had so much childhood trauma, and we knew each other, and but still we thought we can work on it together. But he walked away, pretty quick, like in a few months he walked away. And I hit another rock bottom. I was really in dark place. I don't know what to do. Um, so one night, I woke up middle of the night, just crying, couldn't sleep. I was crying hours. And then finally, I just kneeled down, not by my will. It's just my body, just collapsed onto the ground. And what I said, um, even I cannot ask help me. I don't know, I don't know even if you can help me. I don't feel any hope. There is no hope. I feel complete dark. So I told God that I believe, and okay, I don't know why I'm experiencing this. I don't know why I have to go through this pain. Probably I did something similar to others in the other lifetimes. But whatever the reason is, if I have to live with this pain rest of this life, I will accept it.
So you just surrendered. You
Yeah,
just surrendered.
that
Mm,
was a complete surrender. And that's what brought me to complete opposite side. So
wow.
as soon as I say it out loud by myself, just in the room, okay, I let me just live with this pain. I will accept it. And I still trust you. And then all of a sudden I really felt it's very similar what people like a near death experience, that
Mm-hmm.
description. So I felt like I lifted up into the light from that darkness. And I felt presence of Jesus, which I felt like unconditional love. And then, it's like inner voice, like you were never alone. I was with you whole time. I was
Oh,
holding you whole time. And then what I saw was really like that unconditional love that I'm experiencing, that's not something out there. It's in me. And
mm-hmm.
I'm part of that unconditional love. I'm part of that light. And I was so much in pain because I was looking for that love from outside, from wrong places, from wrong people. No one can give this to me. And I was completely buried that by the fear of abandonment.
Right.
Yeah, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. So I didn't feel that love in me. But that moment, I completely could see that it's within me, nothing to do with others. And then I was just so happy to even like I could see my exes in my imagination, like. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for giving me this time, painful time, so I can experience this. Finally, I can find this truth that I was knowing only as intellectual information. Now I know that experientially. I know what that means. I cannot find the love from others. I found it in me.
I
Yeah.
love it. I absolutely love it. It's so powerful because it's so true. I mean, we're all looking, and especially when you aren't treated well, when you're young, you spend your whole life searching for someone to fill those voids, and you're the only one that can do it. You're the only one that can wake up in the morning and say, "Thank you, God, for giving me another day. What am I going to do today to make my day a little brighter? What am I going to do today? What am I going to do?"
Yeah.
Not what are you going to do for me, everybody and world. But
Hmm.
I absolutely love it. And so then it just kind of things once you it's it's there's so many little, and that's not a little
No,
mindset
it's
shift. Don't it's not little, but I'm
a,
saying there's so many little ones like that all of a sudden it's like I said, it's like that epiphany, like, oh my God, like what have I been doing? You know what I mean? And that is beautiful. And
yeah,
so it get
that's what I'm seeing. Like I really, I used to say like a declaration that I am statement for years. My first line was I am a holy child of God. I am complete and whole. But that's exactly what I experienced at the moment. And when I look back, actually, everything makes sense now because like 3 years ago, one day when I yelled at my son in the car because he was crying, I looked in his eyes and I saw my little girl in there that afraid of losing mommy, that afraid
hmm
of being abandoned. And I know that pain so well, so I didn't really want my son grow up with that pain. So
yeah.
I made it really in a commitment, like I don't know what I can do. I think I do everything I can. So I don't know I can do more here, but I'm really committed to be a different mom. I'm not gonna be the mom that I grew up with. So that commitment brought me so many events which can break me, crank me open so I can really see who I really am. So all the events what I experienced after that, which was a painful surface level, but every event let me discover layer after layer after layer. And I finally see me as, yeah, I am a child of God. So
Yep.
that identity shift that brought so much different, so much changes my relationship with my son. And like you said, I know he's probably holding a lot in his body because we had so many conflicts, so many times conflict. But now we have a bedtime ritual. Like we light the candle and we're talking about our feelings, what
Yeah,
we experienced
you're
during the day.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. He's
Yeah,
young. There is so much time. He's not going to remember, you're going to bring that subconscious, anything that's already stuck in his little body, and you're going to bring it
yeah,
out. He's only 6 years old. You're going to bring it out of him, and he's going to be fine. I mean,
yeah.
100%. I was just more kind of telling the people that were out there listening, because a lot of people are like, oh, because I don't want this podcast ever to make people feel shame or them
No.
to get off the podcast and be like, oh, I yell at my kid all the time, or oh, I say this all the time. You can undo anything. And as a parent, every tiny moment that you spend getting better, your kids see that. They feel
Yeah.
that energy and they're
Mm,
taking that all in. And the best thing you can do is just continue to walk forward. You can't like stop focusing on the past and just continue to walk forward and be, like you said, be the best person you can be.
yeah.
It is amazing though when people have that total life changing situation, because like you made a couple comments, like you could turn around now at your ex-husband who you had so much animosity and so much hatred to, and you're thanking him for the opportunity to like give me this experience so I can learn from it so I can grow. Like that's a totally different you.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
That's and that's really what it takes. When you're in that victim mode, you don't have the capacity to have compassion and empathy for anybody else. But once you can, even like, I remember the moment that I could see my mother as a young child abused and abandoned. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, she didn't know any better. But when I was angry, I couldn't see that.
Right.
And when you can't see that, you hold on to all that. And that's where the damage is done, the physiological damage. Like you said, you let go of that and you stop getting sick all the time. I mean, I was 18, I had bleeding ulcers. I mean, vomiting blood just from stress.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I could just be like, "Ah, she didn't know any better. Why am I holding on to this anger? Like, why don't I just focus on moving forward and becoming a better me instead of holding on to that hatred and that anger?" So, yeah, it's an amazing experience. It's great. So, um, so tell me what you do now. Like, how do you work with people? Where can they find you?
Yeah, now so after that experience, I really it came to me so strong. Like I really want to help mom because I want all the kids grow up with feeling of safety and being loved. And that I didn't have as a child. I longed for like so deeply. So now I see my son that like between him and me, the connection is totally different than we had before. So
Hmm.
it's not like I'm perfect. I'm still angry, but it's a communication. I can communicate about my feelings instead of just exploding. So I wanted to help mom, so now I'm really focusing on helping mom, especially who have done a lot of inner work, but still end up yelling and feeling guilt. And you know, my friends, mom friends around me, or I'm hearing online a lot, like I don't think that's wrong. Like we are saying that's okay. We are just human.
Right,
That's not wrong. But what I want to say is we are not just a human. We are mom. We are raising tiny human being into someone like who can really lead the world in the future. So we can be better, and there's a way we can be better version of ourselves.
right.
And I can help with that. And also, I'm offering complimentary session. So if you go visit my website, sedonacoach.com, there is the you can schedule the complimentary session from there.
Okay. And I will put that in the show notes so people you can just jump down there and grab that in the show notes because it never hurts just to talk to someone. If you're feeling a little lost, if you're feeling a little rough, if you're feeling like, if you're feeling any of that guilt and shame, and I know it. I think back to the times I said things to my kids and I'm like, why did I say that? And then you spend the whole rest of the day beating yourself up and then, most likely, what you do is you do the exact opposite of what you should do. And to make up for it, you overgive and you overspoil and you have no boundaries and you do all that because you want to be that perfect mom and have your kids love you. And it's not about that. It's about raising healthy, happy, well-adjusted, emotionally intelligent children.
Yeah.
And that's what the goal is. So,
I
yes,
love that.
reach out and I mean, my friend, people will say to me, "Oh, my kid told me they hated me." Well, I'm like, "Well, if they haven't told you that at least once. You're not setting any boundaries then because kids
That's
have to
right.
express themselves. They have to get mad, they have to get angry. But if you've never gotten them to the point where they're mad at you, they're
That's
probably
problem.
there's probably not a lot of structure in your house.
That's
So,
so true. Yeah,
you
that's so
know,
true.
and I mean, my kids now are 21, 28, and 30, and I have a great relationship with all of them. Did I make mistakes? Absolutely. Did I ever try to say I was perfect? Absolutely not. But I let them know they were loved and they watched me do the work. So
Yeah.
it's a good place to be. So
Mm-hmm.
you said it was sedonacoaching.com?
SedonaCoach.com.
sedonacoach.com. And again, I will
Yeah.
put that in the show notes so people can go in there and grab your link and go visit you and find out more about you. In the meantime, thank you for coming. I so appreciate you. Love your story. That was very heartwarming. And for the people out there listening, it just goes to show that there is hope. I mean, you just went through 3 rock bottoms with us, which means you went through so many more rock bottoms that you didn't talk about and you're here smiling and standing. I get it. I get it. We don't have all day, right? Um,
Yes.
but can you give the audience one last message from you, big picture, something to make their day a little brighter? What would it be?
Yeah. One thing I'm doing for myself, like when I'm feeling something uncomfortable, I imagine like my body, I just close my eyes, pause, and imagine the every single cells in my body are listening to me right now. And I'm telling we are safe.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So try that. When you use your voice, literally when you talk to yourself, even every single cell, trillions of cells in your body react physiologically. So
Mm-hmm.
I tell people every day that's such a good tip because I tell people every day, put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, breathe in and just say, I am safe, I am loved, I am more than
Yeah.
enough.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
love that. Yeah.
so thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much having me, and I really enjoyed our conversation, and you're a great host.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And for everybody else out there listening, you heard it from the mouth of babes. I mean, what a heartwarming story of hope. And like I said, 3 rock bottoms and look at that smile. If you're not looking at it because you're listening on audio, she is beaming ear to ear with hope and joy and love and light. So you can too. We'll see you next week.